I'm Martin Tyler, and you're listening to Harry Symeou.
Hello, how's it going? Welcome back to the Chronicles of a Gooner, the Arsenal podcast, part of the 90-Min Football family. Well, this wasn't a part of the plan. I was just on my couch. I was about to make my way to bed, and David Ornstein dropped another one of his bombs. I'm delighted to say that to react to the news with me is the brilliant Tom Canton from the Gooner Talk TV. Tom, where were you and what were you doing when you found out?
Yeah, I was in bed, mate. Yeah, again, I was in bed, but I can't sleep now. So, like, I'm, as I say, I'm flying tomorrow, and it's a case of like, all right, good night's sleep. Do the 8 a.m. show, head to the airport. Nah, just gonna be dreaming about Rice all night now.
I mean, we did a show on your channel a little bit earlier on. Guys, check it out. We had a really, really good conversation about the whole thing, and I was
it's
just
not out of date, by the way, at all. That show, there's no information in that show that's definitely not out of date anymore. So yeah,
mate, I was just thinking about it now while I was waiting for you to log on. I was just thinking, I literally just sat there and moaned about how long it's taking for the next offer to come in, and how sick and tired I am of this whole entire saga, and how loads of people had been sitting there saying that it was due within the next few hours, and I was saying, well, yeah, they're just trying to get clicks and all the rest of it, and here we are. So let's bring you up to speed with exactly what David Ornstein has said, and then we'll talk a little bit through it. I know Tom's got an early start in the morning, but we'll stay on a bit longer with the live chat box once Tom goes off to bed as well, because I can imagine plenty want to have their say on this. But this is the news. David Ornstein, always late at night, seems to drop stories these days, but he says Arsenal have made an improved bid worth up to £105 million for West Ham midfielder Declan Rice. The offer, which Arsenal hope will fend off rivals Manchester City, comprises of an initial fee of £100 million and an extra £5 million in add-ons. It will be a record fee for a British player if the move materialises. Arsenal had a club record proposal worth up to £90 million, 75 plus 15 in add-ons, turned down by West Ham earlier in the month. Arsenal have now upped their bid to try and secure manager Mikel Arteta's top summer target. Tom, instant reaction, because this is not Arsenal creeping up in terms of the offer. This is in terms of the guaranteed initial fee. This is a big amount of money that Arsenal have leapt up from and to eventually by making this offer.
Yeah, look, I tweeted saying that the context of this is that Man City offered a guaranteed £80 million. Arsenal have upped that by 20 million. Now, that's massive. I know that the context is that it's a 90 million to 105 or 105, but it's like, it's a huge jump, like massive, way bigger than we've seen Arsenal go in this kind of direction. They creeped up with the Mudryk thing. They creeped up by like 10 million with the Caicedo. This is a huge jump, like a massive, massive jump. For me, it strikes me as a take it or leave it kind of offer. I think, if West Ham don't accept this bid, there's suggestions that they're waiting for Man City to respond. If Man City respond with a bid that, if they say they'll match that, it will be interesting to see obviously what happens then, because then it'll come down to the player, which, we're all led to believe that he wants Arsenal as a preference. There's been further reports today suggesting that other clubs have come in and again, they've been kind of briefed that he wants Arsenal. So it's looking good, Brev, is what I would say. But, I'm still remaining that cautious optimism in the sense of like West Ham are still within full rights to say no if they want to, because they can, But from an Arsenal perspective, I wouldn't. I don't know about you, but if this is rejected, I'm not sure that I'm necessarily comfortable with Arsenal going in, because they've done what all the fans have wanted, which is they've not only just paid 100 million, they've gone even further. It's a guaranteed £100 million that West Ham would get. We don't know the details of the strike. I've not been able to do any digging in the last, 5 minutes to get that. The only thing
you're in bed. You
Yeah,
really
exactly. Yeah.
squeezing.
The only thing I've heard, and a couple of sources, and then I spoke to somebody else later on this evening after we did the show, actually, that confirmed that was that there was extensive talks today, which obviously, unsurprisingly, has led to this bid. It seems obvious to suggest that now, but yeah, so it seems those talks were. It's always interesting, isn't it? Because we say those talks were positive, but Arsenal have made 2 bids already and seen them both rejected. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. But would you, if this is rejected, would you say walk away?
Whatever happens from here on in, I will have no qualms with my football club.
100%.
That's where I'm at now. Because obviously, right, I've been saying for a little while that I don't think that Arsenal have this kind of money to be able to put down. I've been saying that for a long, long time, and I haven't changed my tune because of this bid. I feel like over the last few days, sort of trying to read between the lines, these conversations have happened. Arsenal didn't want to make that third bid without knowing that it was going to be accepted. So that you mentioned extensive talks that went on. That was probably for Arsenal to be like, well, tell us exactly what it's going to take then, and let's try and make this happen. You have to give the ownership amazing praise if Arsenal do get this done, because I get the feeling that this is something that Mikel Arteta and Edu have maybe gone back and said, look, guys, we wanted to do it within this budget and within these constraints, but I don't think we can, based on the conversations we've had. And this is a player that we really need and that we really want. And you have to assume that Arsenal have kind of Barcelona style pulled some levers to make this happen, to make this offer happen. And if it's true that Declan Rice really does want Arsenal first and foremost, then, I can't see why this shouldn't happen now. Am I getting a little bit ahead of myself, a little bit carried away? Can you envisage Manchester City now going, okay, we'll match that? Or do you think this will be the end of their challenge?
Of course you can imagine it, because their financial capacity. That's the short answer. The longer answer is Man City have got a record of pulling out of deals if the other team they're going up against outcompete them in terms of a package for a value that goes beyond what they value the player. Now, it's not just for Man City about what they value the player. It's also the context of seeing their main title rival from last season strengthen with a player that they have already bid for. So with the Cucurella deal, which they pulled out of because Brighton wanted more money than they were willing to offer, and Chelsea were willing to offer that, so they paid it and got him. Chelsea have gone on and had a really poor season off the back of that. But from an Arsenal perspective, you can see this direction Arsenal are going in. So I think from my perspective, obviously Arsenal need Rice more than Man City need Rice. But there is a perspective of Man City to go, and we can use Rice, we can absolutely play Rice. We could use him with Rodri instead of Rodri. The argument of you won't get minutes at Man City, sure, maybe not as many. He's still going to get plenty of minutes. Have a lot of games to play and rotate significantly. It's a long way around answer of saying that, yes, City is still in the fold, and I could see them matching the bid. But again, I kind of lean toward that continual hope that the preference that Rice has had of Arsenal is what ultimately gives West Ham that reason to accept this. Look, the bottom line is West Ham have no reason for me now to not just. I think I saw Jacob Steinberger is it The Guardian? Yeah, The Guardian tweeted just 9 minutes ago saying, unless there's something even bigger on the way, as in Man City, it's hard to make a case for West Ham not to accept £105 million. Rice's preference has been Arsenal for a while, and they've met the asking price. At some point, West Ham need to move on and start planning for next season. You couldn't really sum it up better than that, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's interesting as well, because this whole thing about Rice wanting Arsenal and that being his preference, and those that have reported that have been really consistent with that, even when the Manchester City speculation has really kind of gathered pace, and they've been very, very consistent, as I say, in saying that. Do you think Arsenal make this bid of this amount of money without being totally convinced that Declan Rice is up for the challenge and up for the move?
Yeah, I think so. The whole kind of the selling of this to Declan Rice and the comparison that pundits have made about, what's the obvious choice? And most would say it's City because you're guaranteed trophies now. And I get that. But there is a strong argument to suggest that Rice takes, Arsenal to another level if he's added to this squad. I think that is a bit kind of including if Partey stays as well. So you have Partey and Rice as options in midfield. I was talking to Potsy earlier on. I did a show with him talking about Kane and Bayern Munich. And the debate was, is Kane really going to, is it worth winning the Bundesliga? Is it worth kind of, being at a club that doesn't guarantee you the Champions League? And I said, look, I think it's because you're looking at Bayern Munich on their own. And actually, if you think about Bayern Munich with Kane as their striker, that's a different aspect to Bayern Munich, who mainly played Choupo-Moting, as a forward. And I think it's the same sense with Arsenal. You think as Arsenal, are Arsenal capable of winning the Champions League? Not yet, and I think they're building towards trying to be a club that can compete for that. But what about Arsenal with Rice and Havertz and Timber and more investment that could come? I think you're talking about a different equation there. So yeah, I think the challenge for Rice there is absolutely that he believes if he's coming to Arsenal, it's because they've sold him the dream of winning regular trophies, and that's what we've got to aim for.
Was you expecting this tonight? Because I wasn't. I thought this would rumble on for probably another couple of days actually before we heard anything further. And interestingly, just to add to the whole picture at the moment, because this is a story that is obviously developing. We've literally both I've jumped off the sofa. Tom's jumped out of bed.
So as you can tell, I've been doing this all day because my hair is ruined.
Like we've literally just jumped online to react to this. We haven't even had time really to process this ourselves. But Fabrizio Romano has just added to the conversation here as well. Whoops, where's Tom gone? I'll find him.
I'm here. I'm down
here. Here he is. Fabrizio Romano has just said, Arsenal have submitted a new official bid for Declan Rice, blah, blah, blah. Arsenal's third bid is now on the table for £100 million fixed fee plus $5 million in add-ons, as David Ornstein reported. But the last line is West Ham are waiting to hear from City. I mean, they're going to give City a chance to respond. Of course they are. That's the way it works, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. You don't, that's what a smart club would do. You don't go, oh, great, thanks for the offer, we're going to accept that. You go, Arsenal aren't the only team interested that we've had bids from, and apparently there's other clubs that have also kind of been skirting around. I think that what they'll do is they'll probably say, they'll probably go to Man City and say that Arsenal have made this bid. It's very much public. Do you have a response to this? Man City might say, there's one or two things they can, there's one of three things they can do, Man City. It sounds obvious, but for the benefit of this, they can say, no, these Arsenals, we're not going to go that high. They can match it if West Ham allow them to, or they can better it. That's the three scenarios. I don't see any other club being a threat at this stage. So it's only City you have to worry about. I don't know any inside info on the Man City side of things. So this is a complete prediction. I'm probably willing this into existence, but I'm not sure that they go that high. I'm not sure that they want Rice at that level, And they only bid anyway, so that Arteta could get a message to our owners to get that bid in. So.
Yeah, that was it. It was all a massive ploy.
Yeah,
Mikel rang up Pep last night and he said, "Mate, we're not getting anywhere. Chuck in a bid. Come on, just to get the ball rolling." No, I'm kidding. But Fabrizio Romano has put another tweet out as well, which a few of you in the chat are asking me to read out, which I'm going to read out just. For the sake of you guys there. What is it? Here we go. Once again, Mikel Arteta and Edu doing an incredible job in the Declan Rice saga. Arteta pushing as he never did before to insist on Arsenal plans for Declan to be the star signing, one of the faces of the club's long-term project. Huge effort by Arteta on both the player and internal side. So that kind of backs up what we were saying right at the start of the show, which is based on where we were and where we are now in terms of how much that offer's risen within a number of hours, you have to believe that there's been a real frank conversation behind the scenes at Arsenal that's prompted them or led to this point where they're now pushing the boat out to this extent to try and get this deal done.
Yeah, I think that, as we've mentioned, West Ham had no intention of accepting a bid early on in the window. They were always going to wait and see what happened. And to be honest, Arsenal, I think, knew this. But it didn't mean that they couldn't bid and set the starting price at a certain level. So Arsenal, for me, despite all the criticism that Arsenal face, despite all of the words that's been spoken about Edu, etc., and how that we should have gone about this differently, or we've embarrassed ourselves, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, if we'd have started 2 weeks ago with this bid, I don't think it would have been accepted. I think if this was the opening bid, we'd be here now talking about 110 plus 10. As potentially what we would be talking about. But in reality, we've managed to bring that overall conversation about the price down. I use that word weirdly because we're talking about £105 million worth of a bid. But we've brought that down. And I think Arsenal have made, if we think about West Ham's language in these negotiations of derisory, embarrassing, rejected out of hand, to go from what Arsenal bid previously, a guaranteed 80 million was the highest both Arsenal and City went to raise that by a 20 million increase minimum, plus those additional add-ons. That's not derisory. That's not disrespectful. That's serious. That's take it or leave it. That's your F off bid. That's what that is. So, yeah, it has to either be, it's take it or leave it, as I said earlier, like that from an Arsenal perspective for me.
I know you've got a dash pretty soon, Tom, but do you think now this deal happens? Do you think that we're at the point now, not that we should be complacent in it, because obviously there's still a way to go, but do you think now this is the push that will get this over the line? This is the push from Arsenal that signals their intent, breaks down the barrier with West Ham, convinces Declan Rice that Arsenal really do want him as much as they've been saying they want him? And is this the point from which we can kind of really push forward and see this through?
Yeah, I think so. I'm very optimistic that that's the case. I've been optimistic throughout this whole thing. I've always said I'm optimistic that Arsenal will land the player. But I think you summed up when you opened up the show perfectly, which was whatever happens now, if Arsenal get Rice, if Arsenal don't get Rice, I have no qualms with the club. I have no criticism of the club. I have no questions of the club. They have done, in my view, everything and more that I would have expected for this saga to be closed. So I think that's probably the best place for me to leave it, really, because I just don't think there's anything more that I could say really on this. But yeah, what a lovely end to the evening.
Yeah, brilliant. Just one quick one, very quick one. Do you think this will have a knock-on effect with regards to any of the other business that we were looking at doing? Or do you think this is a special case? This is a player that Arsenal really want. This is a player that Mikel Arteta has been lobbying for, campaigning for, and he's got almost a green light to go that little bit extra for Rice, but with the kind of guarantee that it doesn't affect, for example, the Yuri and Timber deal, which is still not done. Kai Havertz, you think, is too far along at this point?
Oh, he's on the website, mate. I don't know. Have you seen this leak that came out?
Seen that? Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No is the answer. I don't think it has any impact. Because, as I've talked about this before, but there's no budget regarding how much Arsenal can spend on a certain number of players. Arsenal have targets at the beginning of the window, and they have an individual valuation of each of those targets. Havertz there was a valuation. They've got that deal done. Timber is moving in a very positive direction. There's hope that could be agreed this week as well. Rice is signed, and if they do that, what it could stop is a surprise. It might stop a shock, a impulsive decision. That's what this could do. It might stop an impulsive decision from the club to make a 15, 20 million pound signing late on deadline day. It could affect that. But nothing that has been in the plan for this summer, for me, is affected by this bid, is what I would assess of the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Ini Inyang, thank you for your very kind donation, mate. He says, why does news break so late? If I was in the UK, I'd be asleep. Tom literally was, and I was about 5 minutes away. I got to be honest. He says, kudos to you two for the commitment. Thank you so much for tuning in as well, mate. And of course, supporting the channel. Tom, I'll let you go, mate, because I know you've got an 8 a.m. show coming up. So for those of you that will be up at 8 a.m., make sure you get onto that. check it out. Tom will be giving more thoughts. He'll have plenty of dreams about Declan Rice tonight that he can tell you about as well. And then you're setting off for your holiday tomorrow, right?
Yeah, only a few days break, but yeah, I have a feeling I was going to say, you'd think I'd have more viewers than usual because of this news, but I feel like because everyone's going to be not able to sleep, no one's going to be awake at 8 a.m. tomorrow, but we'll see.
Nice one, man. Thank you
Pleasure.
so much. Tell everyone where they can find it. The link is in the title. I've just put it in while we were talking, but people know where you are, but tell them anyway.
Sure. Yeah, you can find me at the Gooner Talk. You can follow the written work of football.london and at the Gooner Talk TV or at Tom Cantor Media on Twitter. Pleasure as always, my friend.
Brilliant stuff. Don't go anywhere, guys, because we're going to be doing some reaction from the chat box. We're going to be going through Twitter, getting a bit of reaction from there as well for around about 20 or so minutes more. So make sure you stay tuned. Going to take a short pause. Let Tom go. Tom, thank you so much, mate. And I will speak to you soon. I'm sure. Enjoy your break.
See you later.
That was the brilliant Tom Canton who jumped on alongside me at about 5 minutes notice. We were both so excited. We both had the same idea of jumping on, and there we were talking Declan Rice to Arsenal, which isn't done yet, but it certainly feels like tonight the club have taken a massive, massive, massive step towards that because, of course, that improved offer of £100 million plus 5 million in add-ons has been submitted to West Ham United. I mean, surely they're not going to be able to turn that down. Guys, we have got over 1,500 of you live, which is incredible. Incredible. Please do leave a like on the video. Can we get up to 1,000 likes by the end of this video? I'll be so chuffed if we could do that. I don't think we've ever got to 1,000 likes on a video on this channel. Certainly not in a long, long time. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. We're trying to push towards that 30,000 mark. We're around about 27,500, I think, at the moment. So there's still a long way to go there as well. But if you wouldn't mind subscribing, liking, all that usual stuff, it really, really does help. Right, let's go over to the comments section. Let's get you guys' thoughts and you guys' reaction to this big, big news this evening. David Ornstein tweeting it out at about, what, 11 o'clock at night. So just in case you were planning on going to bed and having a nice chilled out night, David Ornstein made sure that that's not going to happen. He couldn't even wait till the morning. But I'm glad he didn't, actually, because I've got a busy morning at work. So I prefer that it happened now, which means I can I can sit here and react to it live. Big hello to Lynn, who says, Harry, now that Arteta has reached the West Ham price, can Declan now go back to West Ham and ask for a transfer? It's interesting because I don't think that it's as simple as there's the offer, there you go, it's done now, we can just walk away with a big smile on our faces. I think that the personal terms shouldn't be a problem based on what we've heard and how willing and open Declan Rice is to join in the club. So I'm not massively concerned by it or anything like that. But it's that Manchester City factor. Now, if I had to guess, I don't think they will go back in with a sort of an offer that matches ours or exceeds ours. That would be my prediction. But I don't know that for a fact. And West Ham will want to make sure that they dot every I and cross every T before they commit to anything. So I'm sure that they will be waiting now for Manchester City's response. And hopefully it's a swift response where Manchester City go, look, that's way above our price range. We're not going there. And then it can move forward between Arsenal and Declan Rice. Fingers crossed. It's not a done deal yet. That's really, really important to stress. But we'll see how things unfold over the coming days. Christian says, Harry, do you think we will still be looking to add Lavia if this deal goes through? I agree with what Tom said in that I think as long as, that was a part of the plan, as long as that was something that, Arsenal always had in the back of their minds, then I don't think it will be affected. I can't say 100% sure that it is. There's been a lot of speculation around Romeo Lavia. But I agree with what Tom said when he said that the only thing it's likely to affect probably is one of those impulse buys, one of those decisions that you take right at the last minute. Arsenal have done a few of them over the last few years. They've had their main targets, they've had their plans going into the window, and there have been a few reactions to opportunities that have come up. And I think we might be a little bit careful in that sense. But I really do believe, as I was saying earlier on in the show, that this is one where Arteta would have pushed so hard for this. Edu would have pushed with the ownership so hard for this that there's been a special exception made. And Arsenal as a football club have found a way to finance this. Now, we don't really know what the structure of this deal is going to look like. It's important to stress that at this point. When we heard about sort of the earlier offers, we were sort of kept in the dark initially, and over the course of the next few days we started to learn a little bit more about how those offers were made up, and obviously that was a problem. But at the end of the day, you know, you're going to get 100 million pounds West Ham United. You're going to get 5 million pounds more potentially in add-ons. Like, what more do you want? Seriously, like, if West Ham are to reject this, honestly, like, I'm done with it. I'm done with them. I hope they get relegated if that's the case. Like, genuinely, like, I just I don't know what to say if we get to that point where West Ham go, no, this is not enough still. That would be delusional. That would be crazy. They'd be mad not to take the money. And also, I've said it throughout this Declan Rice saga. I feel like West Ham United have a responsibility to facilitate the move that Declan Rice wants, because he's shown incredible loyalty to them over the years. Big hello to Joe. How's it going, mate? Good to see you. He says, big up, Harry. Do you think that's a done deal now? It's not 100% a done deal, but as we've been saying throughout the show, I don't know what else Arsenal as a football club could do. Like, even if we miss out, I don't know what any Arsenal fan can say against the club. They wanted 100 million. We've coughed up 100 million. You know, you want, as fans, this player to come in through the door and be the new face of our midfield. Arsenal are doing their utmost to make it happen. So, yeah, here we go. Amira says, Harry, will this deal being agreed finally rubbish the Arsenal can't do big deals allegations once and for all, or at least most of it? Or will there always be a wait for the next big deal thing? Yeah, look, in recent seasons, we've gone to a certain point, and then like some people would say shit the bed, but I think just have got to a point with certain players where we felt like we were no longer getting a good deal anymore, and we walked away. There have been other instances where other clubs were just able to pay more money than us. And I think what I'm most impressed about is that Arsenal have recognized, KSE have recognized that as the club progresses, they're going to need to invest more, that they're going to need to speculate to accumulate, that they're going to start shopping in a different bracket, which requires you to turn up with a much meatier credit card than the one that you were shopping with prior. I still think that Arsenal as a football club generally can't lay down the amounts of cash that City can up front, that Man United can, that Chelsea have been able to over the last few seasons. But it seems like at Arsenal at the moment, there is a willingness to adapt, and there's a willingness to sort of bend a little bit in order to facilitate some of these things that the manager and the sporting director want, because there is a real trust and a faith and a healthy relationship now between KSE and those that are down on the ground running the football club itself. Let's see what else we've got in the live chat box. Sorry if I'm rubbing my eyes. I am absolutely knackered, genuinely, as I was saying to you guys at the start of the show, if you're joining us late on the live stream. So I was sitting down. I started to watch Fast and Furious, the new one, a few days ago with the missus. What a load of nonsense that film is, by the way. I mean, the last few have been horrendous, haven't they, in terms of how unrealistic and stupid they are, and OTT and all the rest of it. Anyway, we sat down to watch it the other day, and it was actually last Saturday night, and I was working on Sunday morning at Talk Sport, and I needed to be in a cab at 4 a.m. And we got to about 11:30, and there was about 45 minutes left of the film, and I thought, oh, like, this is a drag. This is shit. I'm not going to impact on my sleep. And and be more tired and wary in the morning than I need to be because I stayed up and watched this film. So I didn't finish it. But tonight, when I was kind of like starting to get tired, I was like, I don't want to commit to a full film now. Hey, there's 45 minutes left of Fast and Furious. Let's watch it. So we did. And literally, as I turned off the TV and went to pick up my phone off the side of the sofa, it vibrated. And it was a notification from David Ornstein. And I've always got to be careful because sometimes I get notifications from these fake David Ornstein accounts through a couple of other Twitter accounts that I'm logged in via. Don't worry, no burner accounts like the Chronicles one, another one for work, etc. But so I got it. I saw it. I had to sort of double check that it was genuinely David Ornstein, and that was it. I'm like, I'm going to do a live stream, and yeah, sent the missus off to bed and just thought about doing it in the living room, actually, making a nice cup of tea, kicking back, and then I thought, no, I'm probably going to wake up the kids. Not worth it. Not worth it. Oguchukwu says, what do you think about the bid? In terms of the value, I think it is OTT. I do. Like I've said throughout this saga, if you want to call it that it felt like we were going to we were overpaying, that we were going to overpay to get this done. But that's just the way it goes nowadays, unfortunately. Like there's not much you can do about it. If you want to sign the best players, if you want to be competitive in the market, you have to accept that at times you are going to overpay. And we've done that. And we look as though we're going to do that, I should say, with this deal. But hey, if it's a player that we want, then take it. And if he does, if he is really in on this Arsenal thing and nothing to Man City materializes, then that's a big win for Arsenal Football Club, because we'd have stamped our authority in terms of showing that we can compete with this ownership, with the big boys when it comes to big transfer fees, that we have an appeal, which I've said repeatedly over the last few days and weeks, I feel has been massively, massively disrespected by the wider footballing world. And yeah, it's, I think it's a big deal, a really, really big deal. Big hello to Finn Muller, who says, hey, Harry, this is my first time on the live edition. I'm usually a Spotify listener, and I appreciate your professional yet entertaining way of reporting. Thank you so much, mate. This is greetings from Germany. Greetings to everybody joining us at the moment. We'll do some shout outs towards the end. We'll do a few more minutes of questions and thoughts. Keep them coming. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. Where are we at on likes? 443. Not bad, but I still think we can push towards that 1,000 mark. Oh my god, no. People are telling me that the bid's been rejected. People winding me up. Oh my god. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. Apparently, Jacob Steinberg tweeted, it's been rejected. You know what, West Ham? You can... I'm not even going to say it. Oh my god, here we go. Is this right? I can never find... Does Jacob Steinberg have Twitter? According to reports, West Ham have not accepted Arsenal's latest bid of £105 million for Declan Rice. They are not happy with the payment structure proposed by Arsenal. Talks are ongoing. The offer itself was not rejected out of hand, but West Ham are expecting City to bid tomorrow. Is that true? Is that not true? Like, it's difficult for me to really sort of dive into this and try and research it at this moment in time, because we are obviously live on a stream. But Jacob Steinberg says that West Ham have not accepted Arsenal's latest bid. I don't know where to go with this. I don't know where to go with this. Marcus says, wake up, Tom, to discuss it. Oh dear. Right, look. If indeed this has been rejected, because this is what Jacob Steinberg is reporting right now. If this has been rejected, this is ridiculous. because this is a more than fair amount of money for Declan Rice. In fact, we would be overpaying for Declan Rice should this deal progress and should this deal go through. There is no question in my mind about that. Payment structure could be something that West Ham are pushing back on, maybe. But like, I just don't know how anyone could reject 105 million pounds for Declan Rice. That's the problem I've got. And apparently Manchester City are going to get back involved in this tomorrow. So there's still a long way to go with this. As we've been saying, there was a part of me that got a little bit carried away. There was a part of me at the start of the podcast that was really confident and hopeful that we were going to get this deal done. I'm not saying that the tide in my mind is completely turned during this podcast, but obviously reading that is a bit of a kick in the balls. We'll have to see. Dissident Agnostic makes a really great point as well. He says not accepting the bid doesn't mean it's been rejected. West Ham United might just be buying time. Now, yeah, I was under the impression that there wouldn't be a response this evening, and actually it's something that West Ham would want to delay on so that they could give Manchester City a chance to respond. We've said all along they want to bid him more. We've said all along that that's what they're hoping to achieve. And if that's the case, then you can understand why they would allow or wait for City to get back involved in this and not give Arsenal the green light necessarily so quickly. But let's bring you up to speed then with what Jacob Steinberg is saying. Hold on, because I've managed to locate his tweets. 1 second. Jacob Steinberg is a writer for, I'll tell you now, give me 1 second. I'll check exactly who he works for. Is it The Guardian? I want to say it's The Guardian. Yeah, football reporter for The Guardian. So this is what he says. West Ham have not accepted Arsenal's latest bid of £105 million for Declan Rice. They are not happy with the payment structure proposed by Arsenal. Talks ongoing, offer itself not rejected out of hand, and West Ham are expecting City to bid tomorrow. Some suggestions that Arsenal may need to go to £110 million to get this done. West Ham wanting the guaranteed part of the fee paid quickly. Problem for Arsenal could be City just coming up with better payment terms. Rice isn't going to turn down Guardiola if that's the offer on the table. So, way to piss on our parade, Jacob. In the middle of the night. How dare you? It's gone midnight. I'm sitting here podcasting and you can't even give me a good bit of news. Anyway, look, do we continue reacting? Let me know. Drive the likes up if you want us to stay online a little bit longer. We're only on around about 500. We want to get up to as close to 1,000 as possible. Amazing that over 6,000 of you have tuned in throughout the duration of this stream so far. But we've been hit quite hard actually by the news that maybe that bid is not going to be enough. I mean, we don't know that for a fact, right? And we've heard various reporters report different things. Some have been right, some have been wrong. But I'll tell you this, I still, despite sort of feeling that up and down, even during this live episode of the podcast, as we have, I still can't be disappointed or annoyed at my football club for going this far. To try and do this deal, because I think they've gone way beyond what I expected them to. Tony says, doesn't Ornstein always get it right though? Yeah, he's got it right that Arsenal have made that offer, but what we're saying now is that offer is not going to be accepted, which is a whole different matter, isn't it? Whole different story. Yeah, interesting. Do you know what we're going to do before we say goodbye? Because I feel a bit deflated now. I've got to be honest. I'm going to give you one more push on the likes. Let's try and get up to as close to 1,000 likes as possible. But I want you guys to let me know in the live chat where you are tuned in from. I want to do some shout outs. I want to say thanks for all the support over the last few weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, because we are pushing, as I say, towards that 30,000 mark here on YouTube, which we'd love to get to sooner rather than later. But start filling up the chat box with where you're joining me from, and we'll do lots of shout outs before we say our goodbyes. We've got Jamaica, we've got the US, we've got Jamaica, Pennsylvania, Dublin, Scotland, Toronto, San Francisco, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Belgium, UK, boring Swindon. Why is it boring? I've not been to Swindon, I don't think. We've got Arborfield, we've got Trinidad, we've got Singapore, we've got Torquay, Victoria, Australia, Mississippi, London, Barbados, Pakistan, Australia, Abuja in Nigeria, we've got Washington DC, Hackney, we got Puerto Rico, we got Letchworth Garden in Letchworth Garden City. What else have we got? Coatesville in Pennsylvania, Florida, Nova Scotia. Wow. It's amazing. I love doing this because you get to see where everyone's joining us from. Wales, Billericay, Freetown, Dallas, Brazil, Jamaica, Ireland, Minneapolis. What else have we got? Chicago, Brazil, Austin, Scotland, Mumbai, Mexico, USA, London, Botswana, Ghana, San Diego, Brazil, South Africa, Dallas, Los Angeles, Malmo. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm not going to read through all of them because I'll be here all day. Liberia, we got there. Margate, Tampa, Santa Barbara, Columbus. Amazing stuff. Let's see what some of you are saying I should look at Alex Goldberg's tweet. Let's have a look at that. Alex Goldberg. Hold on a second. What's he saying? Declan Rice will be an Arsenal player. West Ham are just doing all they can to fine-tune Arsenal's offer and perhaps see what City have in store. But they believe City won't go much higher than their first bid, and they also know the player's preference is Arsenal. Well, that is what we want to hear, isn't it? So we'll leave it on that note. Anyway, I'll catch you all very, very soon. Guys, like, subscribe, all the rest of it. Thank you for joining me at such short notice. We literally set up the stream at 11 o'clock and we were live by, all right, it wasn't quite 11:15 as advertised. It was a little bit later, but we had to get Tom Canton out of bed. Started on a really positive note. It's ending on a slightly less positive one, but it's not doom and gloom. As I say, whatever happens now, I am proud or content with my club's effort to get this deal done. And that's all you can do, really. You offer to pay the money, you offer to front up the money. You can't really slag off the club for that. The structure, as I keep saying, will be something that Arsenal are not as flexible on as maybe other clubs would be. And I've been talking about that for a few weeks now. I do feel like Arsenal have already tried to pull some levers here and there to get themselves up to that level of an offer. Will they be able to go that bit further and give West Ham the kind of payment structure that they're looking for? That remains to be seen. Will Manchester City come back with an improved bid? We'll have to wait and see, but we will keep you across all of it on the Chronicles of a Gooner podcast. Like, subscribe, share, all the rest of it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with more. Until then, good night, sweet dreams, rice, baby, or not. We'll have to wait and see. Catch you all soon. Goodbye.
I'm Martin Tyler, and you're listening to Harry Symeou.